Hi, I'm Jesse. This is One Block at a Time, and today we're looking at Gramercy Park. Gramercy Park was one of 4 squares created by Samuel Ruggles in 1833, along with Union Square, Stuyvesant Square, and Madison Square. It's one of only 2 private parks in New York, which means that only people living around the park have a key. And another way to get a key is to stay in the swanky Gramercy Park Hotel. I once saw a woman jump the fence to get into the park, and then help her 8-year-old daughter over into the park as well. So that's great parenting right there. The park is pretty secretive. Today we're going to be looking at 6 secrets of the park. The last one is my favorite, so stay tuned for that. As we look at the gorgeous buildings bordering the park, first let's talk about the National Arts Club. This was the elaborate home of Samuel J. Tilden, who was the governor of New York in the 1870s. He was also the 1876 Democratic candidate for president, but though he won the popular vote, he lost the Electoral College thanks to Florida. It happens sometimes. He spent the last few years of his life remodeling this house, which actually merged 2 homes that were gutted and refaced and combined. What's the secret here? Well, Tilden was worried about assassination attempts by his political enemies, so he built a secret tunnel under the mansion that led to an exit all the way on 19th Street. And that's not all. After his death, he left a trust to establish a library with his extensive book collection, and this was merged with the Lenox and Astor collections. Together they needed a home, and thus was built the main branch of the New York Public Library on 5th Avenue. Despite its secrecy, I've been inside the park once. Its secret is that it is actually open to the public, but only one day a year for Christmas caroling. But watch out, because the line to get in literally goes around the block. Secret number 3 is all the famous people that have lived around the park. Among the immediate neighborhood's residents have been architect Stanford White, the Steinway family, of the pianos, Thomas Edison, one of the Astors, which was one of the richest families in the world, the newspaper editor and publisher Joseph Pulitzer of the Prize, John Steinbeck, John Barrymore, Ethel Barrymore, Julia Roberts, Uma Thurman, Rufus Wainwright, Chelsea Clinton, Karl Lagerfeld, Jim Parsons, Winona Ryder, and Gregory Peck. Jimmy Fallon is another one, and I've seen him several times. Bob Dylan's manager Albert Grossman lived at 4 Gramercy Park West, which then became immortalized on the cover of Bob Dylan's 1965 album, Highway 61 Revisited, which was photographed on its steps. The 4th secret concerns the same house. Built in 1846, it features 2 cast-iron lampposts flanking the front entrance. This was originally the home of James Harper, the mayor of New York City, and founder of Harper & Brothers Publishers, now Harper Collins. The lampposts are the remnant of a mayor tradition left over from Dutch colonial days. The custom originated with the lantern bearers who escorted the Dutch burgomasters home from places of genial entertainment, which means the local tavern. The lanterns were then left at the residence to signal that the mayor was home and not to be disturbed. By Harper's day, the lamps had been merely ceremonial significance. The custom ended in 1942 when New York's mayors started using Gracie Mansion. There's one more secret about that same house, believe it or not. It's rumored to be the townhouse home of Stuart Little. E.B. White never specified this in his classic Tale of the Adventurous Mouse, but the book's illustrations by Garth Williams look like the former Harper residence. As a bonus, Irving Place, the short street that runs from the south into Gramercy Park, has a long literary pedigree. Irving Place is named after author Washington Irving. A few blocks down, there's a plaque on a building noting Irving's residence. This is actually incorrect. Irving never lived on the street. However, his son lived next door to it, as did Oscar Wilde. Herman Melville also lived on the street. And on 19th Street, Nicholas Pileggi wrote Wise Guy, Life in a Mafia Family in 1985, and then a few years later wrote the screenplay based on it called Goodfellas, here with Martin Scorsese. And on Irving Place and 18th is famous Pete's Tavern, opened in 1864, one of the oldest bars in New York, where Ludwig Bemelmans wrote Madeline, and O. Henry wrote Gift of the Magi. Our last secret concerns the Players Club. A New York City landmark, it's a center for actors and members of the performing arts. The building was bought by Edwin Booth in 1888 and remodeled by architect Stanford White. Theater historians consider Edwin Booth America's greatest tragic stage actor, and he was very famous in his time. One day in Jersey City, Edwin saved the life of a boy who fell from a crowded train platform onto the tracks. They didn't exchange names or anything, but it turns out the boy recognized him because he was so famous. And Edwin knew this because he got a letter a few weeks later, and it said, "Thank you for saving the life of my son." And the letter was signed President Abraham Lincoln. Tragically and ironically, the Booths would have another tie to the Lincolns when, only a few months later, President Lincoln was assassinated by Edwin's younger brother, John Wilkes Booth. Unlike his brother, Edwin had been a supporter of Lincoln and was distraught afterwards, even stopping acting for a time. He wrote a formal letter of apology to the nation, and that letter now resides inside the Players Club. And the statue in the center of Gramercy Park is of Edwin Booth. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed these secrets and stories. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for more about New York. Thanks so much.